Well, welcome back to Saturday Somm-Things. It's another beautiful, brisk day in Colorado. Today we're going to do a little escapism for a few minutes and talk about some wines from New Zealand. If you have been to New Zealand, you will probably have fallen in love with it a little bit, as have both of us. We've had some great experiences over there separately. But last night, talking about what we loved about New Zealand wine, it was kind of fun and bonding, and it's always good to bond with Mr. Mats. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. So we're going to talk about a couple of different wines that we have like personal connections with, starting out with the Jules Taylor Grüner Veltliner. So Grüner Veltliner being a grape varietal most associated with Austria, and kind of unusual to see it planted outside of Austria. But Jules Taylor is a friend of mine, a hilarious young lady. We've interacted a few times, had dinner at her house, played Star Trek, Lego with her kids, and eaten and drinking and all kinds of fun stuff. So most people, when you think of New Zealand wines, think of Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Noir. Very few people think of Grüner Veltliner. What did you think when I asked you yesterday?
I thought you were being crazy.
Yeah, because you never heard of.
Never heard of a Gruner from New Zealand.
Yeah. So I think, like, as with a lot of wine regions, as people become more comfortable with the climate, with the soils, grape varietals that work, people like to experiment a little bit. New Zealand plantings, like 20 years ago, 80% of what was planted was Sauvignon Blanc, and that's dropped down to now about 70%. Other white varietals that do well there, Pinot Blanc, Chardonnay, you'll see them both North and South Island. But Grüner Veltliner, if you are a dork and a geeky somm like I am, you kind of fall in love with Gruner, and this is a bit of a curiosity wine. So we tasted it last night. Mats made a fabulous chicken salad to pair along with it. Did it change your mind a little bit?
It did. I was really pleasantly surprised because it was unexpected and quite tasty.
Yeah. And you said something that last night that if you were blinded on this, you'd probably go to it being a New Zealand wine.
Absolutely.
But you
It's a
wouldn't have
Sauv
thought
Blanc.
Gruner.
A Sauv Blanc, hands down. It has all the characteristics. The tomato vines, the key lime, the pomelo, and it's just not what you expect.
Yeah.
Definitely has a higher acidity,
Yeah.
which leads to briskness and brightness. And it's so unique and flavorful. I was shocked.
It's really crisp and refreshing to me, and I drink a lot more white wines than I do red. And I just think it's interesting for food, and especially when we start warming up and getting to spring, we start looking at things like asparagus and artichoke. I found out last night Mats hates asparagus with a passion. I think it's great. We've done pairings with asparagus dishes. Classical preparation will be like ham, boiled potatoes, or a hollandaise sauce. And something like a Grüner Veltliner, that high acidity, cuts through the richness of hollandaise, also works very well with salty ham. So it's a really great food pairing wine if you're looking for something different. And I think it's delicious. We have this normal price on this is $17.99. So it is a little bit of an investment, but if you're kind of geeking out and you want to get a usual bottle of Sauvignon Blanc, get one of these two, try them side by side, and see what you think.
Very good.
Cheers. Cheers, Jules. Nice to see you. We'll bring you in one day for real, lifetime. All right, and then going on to Mcbride Sisters. So Sauvignon Blanc, just a reason for choosing this one real quick. It is, Mcbride Sisters was just recently featured on Wine Spectator as a list of black-owned wineries that came out. It's also Black History Month, and it was also just recently New Zealand Wine Week as well. So we thought this would be a good one to feature. You know a little more about them?
It really is. The Mcbride sisters never knew each other existed. They share the same father, and Andrea Mcbride was raised in New Zealand, and Robin Mcbride was raised in Monterey, California. It wasn't until they were about 16 did they finally find each other and connect and realize that they shared a passion for wine and winemaking and wine appreciation. And it just developed from there. As Sian has said, the Mcbride Sisters is the largest black-owned winery in the United States, and they employ mostly a female staff. It is Black History Month. We're celebrating and acknowledging it, and this is the perfect wine to do that with.
Excellent. I love it. So I snuck a bottle of this for myself a couple of weeks ago because I'm impatient and I couldn't wait to try it. They also have, down at the front door, there's the can wines, the She Can rosé they do. So that's also made by them, but a portion of that goes back towards supporting the empowerment and development of women in business too. And I didn't realize this, but mentally, like, I don't like drinking wines from a can because there's that metallic taste to it. It's kind of strange. But I also think my brain is conditioned to drink faster from a can like it's soda. So I managed to house like a half bottle of wine incredibly quickly from that. So just word to the wise, be careful with cans of wine. They can sneak up on you.
And they do have a nice variety of wines. They have their Black Girl Red, Black Girl Magic, Black Girl Riesling, a beautiful sparkling Brut Rosé, a sparkling Brut. We carry the Rosé at Argonaut, and it's just amazing. So I'm excited to try this again because they do such a good job, and it's high quality, and all of their wines are under $20.
Oh my God, that's good. So,
wow.
Fans of Sauvignon Blanc will recognize this. It's all that jalapeno and kiwi and...
It's not your glass of morning grapefruit juice that has layers and depth and character. Pomelo, lemon verbena, just a nice balance, and it's just beautiful.
I think the lemongrass in here as well. It has like this, that lemongrass makes you think of like Thai, Asian fusion cuisine. And besides the United States, main market for New Zealand wines is Japan and Australia. So a lot of those like fusion cuisines work really well with these dishes too. The side note on the rosé, originally that's what I wanted to do for today. And then the rep is that we don't have any. We've got 4 bottles left from like rats. So I bought 1 bottle to make sure I had it for a little Galentine's event I was doing last night. And then the rep came up to me yesterday and he's like, I might be able to like find a couple more cases of this. I'm like, really? So apparently he has. So we got a couple of cases of the rosé and then more of the Sauvignon Blanc coming as well. So it's pretty limited availability in general. So we're kind of spoiled and lucky that we're one of the people that get to have it.
Definitely come on down and get what we have because it's worth the experience, hands down.
I mentioned how much I like drinking wine this early in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
It's really exciting. It's good for your palate. You're not distracted by coffee and food flavors. I love that. Next wine is a bit of a treat. So we literally only have 6 bottles, or 5 now, because we have it open. So this is Burn Cottage, and it's a project in New Zealand. So whereas this comes from Marlborough, this is also Marlborough, so kind of northern end of the South Island. This is coming from central Otago, and it's a region that's a little further south. So these are the furthest south vineyards in the world. And Otago is a little area, it's a little more inland than other areas, which could definitely have a coastal influence within like 20, 30 miles. Here, a little higher elevation, mountains all the way around. Does really, really well with Pinot Noir. Also, all the little towns around there have Scottish names, which is kind of cool. There's a town called Bannockburn. It's really fun. Cromwell, very authentic. And this is a project spearheaded by Ted Lemon. And Ted Lemon is kind of wine royalty in the business. He was the first American winemaker to be employed making wine in Burgundy. So Burgundy, France, definitely hold a lot of their cards close to their chest, and don't necessarily expect American winemakers to come in and be able to adapt and work as well as they do. But Ted has been a big proponent for biodynamic farming in the United States, and he learned a lot while he was in Europe. He has Literai wines. You might be familiar with some of those labels out in Sonoma. And then this is a project they started, I think, just a little over 15 years ago. It's about 11 hectares of land that they owned. And I know that hectares don't mean much, and then you go to acres, and a hectare is 2.2 acres, and it's the size of a football field, which means nothing to me. But 11 hectares is about 0.46 square miles. So just think it's not a whole lot of land. Everything's farmed biodynamically, so there you're working with harvesting, treating the vines, all biodynamically, all clean, all natural, and no pesticides, no fertilizers that are unnatural. and really special way to strengthen the health and the heart of the vines. So all the fruit that's coming out from there is as pure and as concentrated as it can possibly be. The vines are a little healthier and robust and able to withstand all kinds of natural threats to the vine. So even on drought years, wet years, they're already conditioned to respond and kind of take care of themselves. This is the Burn Cottage Pinot Noir, and I don't know, what do you think on the nose?
I love the nose. It's very rustic and earthy. You get rhubarb and pomegranate. It's elegant. It's more Burgundian in style than your typical Washington or Oregon, California Pinot. It just has such nice acidity and complexity.
I love it. It's kind of cranberry, like cranberry pie.
Right. It makes you just want to have more because it is lighter to medium bodied in stature, but the flavors explode.
Yeah.
And New Zealand is known for that.
Yeah, I like where this falls in, like on the scale of Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is one of those grapes that is known for its texture. It's always like a little bit lighter bodied, but it always has a very silky, smooth texture to it. The acidity is there, but I think it fits right in between like some of the really earthy Burgundian styles, and then maybe some of the more like robust cherry cola, the bright fruit forward California, like Russian River expressions. So it's kind of a nice bit of both, a nice compromise for when you're trying to buy something that everybody's going to like. So your wine snobs and your wine novices, it's delightful.
It is beautiful. I mean, the whole lineup today was a complete surprise, but so enjoyable. Thank you for having
I love to surprise you, Mats.
Another-
It's my favorite thing.
Argonaut's specialty wine tasting. It's
Excellent.
always been a pleasure.
All right, we're wrapping it up. Cheers to New Zealand wine. And we'll have a rack of wines whenever we feature these. Will be positioned up by the registers at the store. So if you're looking for them, it's a little easier way to track them down. And we hope to see you soon. Again, we'll talk about more food pairings and delicious wines and
That
drink.
sounds great.
It's good for you.
Cheers.